Alright, this is my reflection video, and first I'd just like to say it's been a awesome 3 years that I've had in the MET program. Learned a lot of information, had a lot of good classes, good interaction with peers and classmates and faculty and administration staff, etc. Really had a wonderful experience. I thought initially when I signed up for the class, I was pretty tentative, and I wasn't sure that this was going to be something that I was really curious to see how it was going to end. I was a little nervous just with the idea of technology and things that I wasn't really familiar with to start. But like I said, 3 years ago I started. 3 years later, making this video. So this is the last piece of my portfolio that I need. Um, I'm pretty proud to be able to say that at the end of these 3 years, with the exception of this course, of course, um, I guess we'll wait and see for that. But um, finishing with a 4.0 in the program, really excited about that. I think a lot of that has to do with the patience and the uh, professionalism of the staff that has taught the classes that I've taken. So um, anyway, moving on, thinking about the different classes that I took through 3 years, I guess, 6 semesters. I think of the first ones that really stand out are the ones that I had the most trouble with, and uh, three come to mind. Um, Network administration that I took just this last fall in 2013, EdTech 505, the evaluation for educational technologists, and of course this class. Those three stand out the most as far as most time consuming, difficult. They also stand out because they were the three that kind of took me out of my comfort zone a little bit as far as material that maybe I wasn't familiar with at first, and that's a good thing, I think. Um, but network administration last fall, especially, I hadn't done any sort of activities or exercises with networking or IP addresses or the hardware components of computers, and that definitely was a class that frustrated me. I'm glad that I escaped it. Um, I'm not sure how much I plan on using that. It was a good class to take just to get familiar with it, and yeah, I'm glad I managed to get away with the grade that I did, and the bits of information that I'll retain as I continue in my career. EdTech 505 was one that I relied a lot on people besides myself to finish that class. I had not done anything previously with um, evaluating and thinking of budgets and uh, qualitative and quantitative data and compiling all that, and the amount of time, just sheer time that it took to complete some sort of a evaluation of a program, and the difference between looking at a program versus an item. Or you're not evaluating the effectiveness of technology, but in the case of my final report, the the program that I evaluated uh, utilized some of that technology. So the technology was a part of it, but the foreign language trip that I evaluated just kind of gave me a different perspective on evaluation, and I thank my wife a lot for helping me get through that class. She has has used some evaluation before in her job, and she really helped lend an air of professionalism to that class for me and give me the idea of thinking of things outside of just the school as far as capital and cost of all those different components that make up the evaluation. And then, of course, this class I said was a meaningful class, and it was difficult. Just the time that it takes to really properly sit back and reflect on classes that we've had, the options and the artifacts that we've had to put together for this project, and then reflecting on that and trying to remember, well, did I really do that 3 years ago, and maybe I did, or 2 years ago, or what did that really mean to me, and how do I link that to the standards? And um, it's a useful exercise, um, and I think this was a challenging, worthwhile part of the whole program in itself. To kind of bring full circle where we started, or where I started in September of or August of 2011. So these three classes, as far as meaningful coursework, are maybe the three that challenged me the most. Other classes that I feel like really added to my professional life at school, where I teach German for high school students, would have been EdTech 541, EdTech 521, and 554. With those 541 and 521, I really feel like when I started the program, being hesitant to jump in and use technology, and those two classes with integrating technology into the classroom, and the idea of supplementing lessons with technology, and thinking, for me at least, outside of the box from what I was used to, getting out of my comfort zone, and taking those classes to new ideas. I think getting new ideas and ways to teach things that you had already done was great. Um, I think you can see with some of the lessons that I've put in my rationale paper, and that I've linked to the ACT standards, that those are classes that I definitely took advantage of. I still use some of those lessons that I've posted in my teaching now, and just having that confidence now with using the technology, and knowing that I'm comfortable with it. I think that really speaks to the benefit that I got from those two classes. And then, of course, 554 with implementing technology and policy making. I really enjoyed the opportunity to think more on an administrative level, and ways to manage a staff, and put together a professional development program with technology in mind, and just ways to be a good leader. I think that's something that no matter what your role is in a school, that's something you can project to your students at the very minimum, and maybe more important than to other people. But having that leadership quality. And as a result of that class, kind of moving on here between meaningful coursework and how my teaching has been impacted. At the same time that I was taking that 554 course, I was able to, or I was asked at my own school district to be a part of the professional development committee. So we were tasked, three of us from K-12 or K through 6, and K through 5, 6, 8, and then 9, 12. We were tasked with putting together what would have been this school year's professional development, working with the superintendent and the elementary, middle school, and high school principals. And I feel like that was great. At the same time that I was working on the final project for that class, coming up with that plan, we were discussing these things in committee with the administration and other teachers, and I feel like I really made my voice heard as far as what I learned from that class. Sitting down and talking with the administration about teaching teachers about with the professional development topics the same way that you would talk with students. You introduce the lesson to them, have them show you their understanding, check for comprehension, and then come back and reassess that down the road to make sure that comprehension is still there. And I feel like what I contributed to that committee as a result of that class really speaks a lot to the EdTech program here at Boise State. And along those same lines, I was also able to join the technology committee at my school district, and was involved in the renewal of the at least with um, when we swap our wired computers and picking out the kind of designing what those desktop computers are going to look like, working with the group on the Valentine's grant for funding for a mobile lab, which is what we chose, a mobile laptop lab for our school, and really being involved with things like that. Talking about the Promethean boards that have come in. We've purchased some tablets for different departments, and I really got to sit in and enjoy listening to that and how that process worked. And again, I contribute a lot of what I was able to bring to the table to what I have learned in these classes, especially EdTech 554. And then I think finally, just in closing, things that I've really taken away from these, 6 semesters or 33 credits or however you want to look at this time that I've spent in the program was just that um, I was able to find new ways to engage kids, which I think as a teacher is obviously still one of the most important things to do is keep the kids engaged in the classroom, and that includes today using technology and new tools and things that excite the students and make them want to come to class and learn. And engaging the kids with the new technology also keeps me engaged. As soon as I enrolled in the program, I think we went out and within the first 3 months, we went out and bought an iPad, and I went out and we bought iPhones and upgraded our laptops and all these things that I was just a little hesitant to get into. Just really shows that you just have to have the confidence to really be willing to get in and accept that you won't know everything just from the beginning, but um, eventually, just with some tinkering and some time and the motivation to learn those things, you can figure those out, and it makes a great deal of a difference when you're teaching with those things. And finally, I guess just to say that along with engaging the students in class, um, maybe the biggest thing that I'm leaving with, other than the knowledge, of course, that I've got from the awesome classes that I've had the chance to take, is just being excited about new technology and not being afraid of something new is going to come along, a new version, a new edition, or something like that, and you just can't be afraid or be too resistant to try it out. I think you just have to jump in and try it. You can't be stuck with what you're familiar with. Otherwise, you're missing out on the chance to use a lot of new tools and exciting things. So, in closing, I just would like to thank everybody again for looking at my portfolio. I hope that that kind of gives you an idea of what I was able to do in the program, and know that when I started, I wouldn't have been able to do many of those things. So I think again that's a testament to the staff and the faculty teaching these courses for really helping get me to what you'll be able to see on the portfolio. So that's my video. Thank you.